All right, welcome back. Since this is a journey, it makes sense to kind of start with where our labs are, where my labs are, where we kind of have everything written down, just kind of see where we're at right now, and then we can always see 6 months from now, years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So I got these done. My test I got done at Sonora Quest did it probably like 2 weeks ago or so. So it's pretty recent.
Yeah, I got mine a few months ago. I get my annual checkups every year. Well, medical disclaimer. All right, I am a medical provider. I am not a doctor. All right, I am a PA. I am a mid-level practitioner. Been practicing in the emergency room for almost 30 years. Iron Legacy is really a journey between me and my son. Right? You are not my son, and I and I am not your medical provider. If you have any medical questions, please consult your own medical provider. But thanks for joining us.
Yeah, follow us on this journey.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
We have this perception with bodybuilding that it is overall healthy, which it is. But there are risks associated with it. You know, especially if you take it to an extreme. I mean, competition is one of those extremes. And I'll be honest with you, as being somebody who was up on stage, you know, you're supposed to symbolize the apex of health and fitness. When you're up on stage, you're dying. And I'm not joking with that. You are dying when you're on stage at that night of competition. You are dehydrated. Your kidneys are suffering. There's a lot going on, which is why bodybuilders die. You know, bodybuilders have collapsed on stage. They've collapsed before they got to the show. They've collapsed after the show, weeks after the show. So there are innate risks with it, and this is one of the screening tools. This is not the end-all be-all of it. You know, I remember watching Rich Piana, his documentary, and he was sitting there talking about how he gets his lab. He's got to be smart about this, and you got to get your labs checked, you know, on a regular basis, and I make sure that I'm okay. And he died. 46. He's the same age as me. He died 9 years ago. But he was relying solely on this. His labs look good, so I'm good. All right. And there's
only a piece.
Yeah, just one part of the puzzle. But it's important to get, especially as you get older. You know, with you, you know, young, healthy, vibrant, fresh kidneys, fresh liver, fresh heart. A little less risky, all right, but still good to have baseline markers and then something you can trend and you can see over time. But this is the basics. These are the things that you want to check. Overall, you know, you want to make sure your liver, your kidneys, you know, obviously your hormone levels, all right. This is prostate. This is even more important for me as I'm getting older. Overall cholesterol levels.
Just kind of go down the list. And so it's good just to know, and then especially like, I mean, we'll have another video talking about that, steroids and peptides and stuff. So it's always good to have the baseline, know where you're at, know what it means, and then you can just know what's happening, know how it's changing.
Yeah. So I mean, the first one on here is your complete blood count. All right, your CBC. So if you hear that, that's what it's talking about. And that's basically checking your white blood cell count, which is a reflection of your immune system. Mostly looking at is your hemoglobin. You can hear your red blood cells. That's a reflection of it. And the big one you always think about is they're the ones that bind oxygen, all right, and carry oxygen to every cell in your body. All right, so they are really important, all right? And you can even see doping, if you remember the old scandal with the Tour de France, the bike riders try to increase their hemoglobin levels. So they would do it in different ways. The red blood cell count. Because if you think of your circulatory system as the highway system, all right? And the red blood cells are the Amazon trucks, all right? They're delivering the goods to the customers, and the customers are the cells in your body. So the more Amazon trucks you have delivering stuff, the more stuff people got, all right? So what they were doing is they were either one, taking blood out of themselves and then keeping it on the side, all right? And their body produces more. And then right before a big race, they would infuse it back in, which jumped their hemoglobin up. You have more delivery trucks going through your system. You have more goods, nutrients, oxygen being delivered to the cells. You could push yourself a little harder. You know, you can go a little faster. You can go a little further. So you would think by nature that having more hemoglobin is innately going to be a good thing. And
Yeah,
to a
that's what I
level,
would think.
yes. But there is a cost to it, and it can also get risky. Just like if you have too much of it or too little of it. If you have too little of it, you're really severely anemic. It can get very dangerous where you need blood. All right.
Yeah.
I had a guy come in the ER, and I see this relatively young guy, in his 40s and fit, healthy looking, shouldn't really be having heart problems. And he's Hispanic. And the only reason I say that is because he was whiter than I was. I mean, he was pale. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Because, Maria says I'm practically translucent. All right. So I can do Casper. I can nail Casper the ghost with like that.
Perfect.
So
No
perfectly.
visual effects.
No visual, no
nothing.
makeup, no nothing. Just put me on strings so I can float around and stuff. But he shouldn't look like that. And his heart rate is really high, and he's having a hard time breathing. But so this guy wasn't having a heart attack per se. He didn't have blockage in the heart. He had a GI bleed, and he's been bleeding, and range 13 to 17, he was at 4. So he had no Amazon trucks.
Nothing. It was empty.
They were on strike. All right, they were not there. And we gave him blood. He started feeling much better. His heart rate came down. The shortness of breath went away. And he was fine. If it gets too high, think about it. You have traffic on the highway, and now the trucks are stuck, and they're trying to get off the exit ramps, and there's too many of them. All right, and now they're all pissed off and honking their horns and trying to get there. They can't get where they need to go.
Yeah.
So technically, if your red blood cells get too high, you're at risk for blockages. You're at risk for stroke. All right, blockages of blood flow to the brain. You want to make sure your hemoglobin is in a good range. We are at 7,200 feet here.
Yeah,
We're
and
high.
so you probably see the mountain in the background.
Yeah, so
It's pretty high up.
by nature we live here, so I expect our hemoglobin levels to be at the upper limits of normal, even a little high. Looking at both of our hemoglobins, and guess what? We are both above normal. So,
Ooh.
19.2, and mine is at 19.0. So we need to keep an eye on this, because if it keeps elevating higher, that potentially could get dangerous. Let's go on, because we'll be talking for an hour and a half. I did teach that college course here at the local college. I had to talk for an hour and 45 minutes. And I'm like, how am I going to talk for an hour and 45 minutes? I ran out of time every time. So I have a habit of chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
So if I'm chasing a squirrel, just tell me, Dad, squirrel. All right.
we got a lot more to get
Focus, because squirrels are running past me constantly. So this is your comprehensive metabolic panel. All right. This is going to include things, mostly your liver function, your kidney function, your acid-base status of your blood, all right, electrolytes, potassium, sodium, chloride, things that are important for the cellular activity within our body.
Yeah.
And the main thing we're going to focus on is liver and kidney function. The things that when Rich Piana was autopsied at 46 years old, his liver was massive. All right. They said it was huge, almost twice the size of a normal liver. Your liver is an amazing organ. It is one of the few organs and structures we have that can actually fix itself. It's the workhorse of the body. You think the heart's the workhorse because it's beating constantly.
No, it's
and in a way it is. But the liver is the one that really, it's the sanitation system, all right? It's the garbage trucks coming by and picking up all of our trash. So when we do stupid stuff to our bodies or abuse our bodies, The liver is the main organ that takes the brunt of it. Alcoholism, obviously, is a big problem with it. Kidney function is also, the liver and kidneys together really are the waste management system of our body. All right. The kidneys filter out a lot of stuff too. And that's why we want to keep an eye on them. And I never saw Rich Piana's labs. I can't say where they were at. If he was checking them and thought that they were okay, he was probably watching these then, and maybe they were not significantly elevated. So that's why I said it's a screening tool only. You can't get a false sense of security strictly on this.
And what happened to him?
Yeah, and the two main liver function tests we're looking at are the AST and ALT. And they're just good general markers of how your liver's functioning. So, if you have a night out or a weekend out and you're drinking quite a bit, we're going to expect those to go up for a little while. It should be temporary, especially AST. That's the one that alcohol hits the most. So you can look, and your
Normal.
AST was this is an editing part. So
we'll cut this entire thing out.
Yeah, so people don't have to suffer through this part.
Oh, moment of truth. Yes.
24. And your ALT, while we're here looking at it, so I don't have to bumble and look for it again, is 21.
Yeah.
Both of them very good. All right.
Nice.
Well, let's see where Potter's is. So my AST, ALT was
The first semester of college didn't destroy my liver.
That's right.
29.
All right, so 29. So eventually your liver can't repair itself anymore. It loses that ability, and that's when you develop cirrhosis, and that's liver failure. And there's no cure for that. So once liver failure sets in, it's a new liver or nothing. So very important. Make sure you got a healthy liver. Kidney function. So same thing.
Also very important.
Very important. You got two of them, so you can live with one kidney. Try to keep both for as long as possible.
Just in case if one goes down, there's still another one.
You can. So the other alternative is dialysis, and it's an artificial way of taking a lot of the waste products out of the blood. It's 3 days a week. It's a miserable life to have to live. So, but keeping an eye on it is important, especially with the diets that bodybuilders eat, the supplements that bodybuilders take. When I first started competing, I checked, and my kidney function was fine. It was looking really good, and I'll tell you the numbers where are in a second. By the time I finished my last show, I did 7 shows in 11 months. So I was giving myself no time off. I was constantly dieting up and down, dehydrating myself intentionally, and I hurt my kidneys. And that's one of the main reasons I stopped competing.
Just to keep the kidneys.
Just to keep my
them
kidneys
alive.
Yeah, keep them healthy. Right. So I don't want to put them through any more stress. And so looking at your kidney function, 25. And this stands for blood.
Upper limits.
So
28.
blood, urea, nitrogen. All right. Nitrogen is the toxic component to this. If nitrogen builds up, your kidneys, one of the things it does control is nitrogen levels in your blood. You lose that function, nitrogen elevates, and that's when you literally die from that. All right. Nitrogen is a component of protein, which when we talk about diet, that's the one I'm going to focus on right there. So 7 to 21. So according to Sonora Quest, so you're a little bit higher.
Yeah, 21.
All right. But again, fine. All right. Your creatinine level. This is the big one. This is the clearance you had mentioned in Axe. Is it related to creatine?
Yeah, it looks similar.
It is.
I thought it was.
It is. It's an enzyme in muscle tissue. When you're bodybuilding, you're obviously tearing down muscle tissue.
Yeah.
Creatine gets released as a byproduct of it, and then you have to excrete it. If it builds up in your system, you die. All right. So the main way it's excreted is through your kidneys. So this is the main thing we monitor, looking for kidney function. Overall health of your kidneys, this is the most important one. So your creatinine was 1.23.
Ugh.
So normal, upper limits of normal.
Yeah,
so
upper
keep
limits.
an eye on it. And my creatinine level is 1.4. So that's a little bit above normal.
Yeah.
We'll put that there for yours.
And then,
So when I started competing, I checked my first creatinine level and it was 0.6.
dang.
And then by the time I did my last show, the day after the show, I got my labs checked and my creatinine level came back at 2.4. Started pounding fluids. I cut supplements back, and it has come down. I mean, it's now floating around that 1.3 to 1.5 range.
Mainly lowered by fluids,
Hydration is
like
important.
getting more water
Mhm.
through your system.
Well, think about it. I mean, you take in fluids, you got to get it out. All right. If you can't get it out, it's going to fill up somewhere. And your kidneys are your filtration system. They're your hydraulic pumps, essentially, getting rid of it. So you start hydrating, you're going to force the kidneys to increase output and flush out anything it needs. So kidney failure patients will come in and they'll have swelling in their legs. They'll eventually get swelling in their lungs. Fluid just builds back up. All right.
They're not
because they can't
flushing it.
flush it out.
Okay.
And then your last one, your GFR, that's an overall, that's the glomerular filtration rate. And that's just how well your kidneys are filtering. And it is important to keep an eye on. And yours was excellent for 85.
Nice.
Very nice. Mine, not so nice. Mine was at 59.
I was right there.
Right there. And last time I had it checked, it was like at 62.
Oh, you want to write the little star?
Yeah. So the bad star. Creatine supplements can artificially inflate that. They can also potentially put stress on the kidneys too. You're forcing your kidneys to filter out more creatine. But before I'll go get my labs, I'll stop the creatine like a week or so before, and just to see where it's at. And I also do lower doses of creatine. The 5 milligrams. There's even people claiming you can do 10 or 20. A high.
I think I'm doing like 2.5 a day.
Yeah, I'm doing a half a dose. So I'm doing 2.5 and stuff. You could probably kick it up to 5 now at that point. So, but yeah. So my kidneys.
To cut it short, okay, I know we were just about to start talking about testosterone, like the biggest one, but my dad tells a lot of stories, so this is only just part 1, so I'm going to try to get part 2 up later this week, but so stay tuned for that. Subscribe, like, and get ready for some more stories, okay?